The 2013 Silicon Valley Index shows that a surge of prosperity and the highest job growth in a decade have lifted Silicon Valley from the depths of the Great Recession.
The index is filled with good news. There's tremendous employment growth. It's being spread all over the Bay Area. It's not localized in any one place. It's showing the astonishing emergence of San Francisco as a major technology hub.
We're understanding that there is a corridor between San Francisco to San Jose which serve as bookends for what is becoming the Silicon Valley corridor, and that's an important new development.
The Silicon Valley Index, discussed in great detail during the annual State of the Valley Conference, is packed with the latest data on trends in economic development, jobs, education, public health, land use, environment, governance, arts, and culture. And for the first time, the index is available online at siliconvalleyindex.org. However, despite the good news, the index shows some troubling signs.
This is a region where we actually have a growing divide between people who are highly affluent and people who are struggling to get by. There's a rising number of people on food stamps. There are a hollowing out of the middle class.
We have to have courageous conversations to acknowledge that notwithstanding the growth that we have, people are being left behind, and so we need to think through how do we intentionally make sure that everyone participates commensurate with their skills and abilities.
Joint Venture Silicon Valley and Silicon Valley Community Foundation sponsor the Town Hall Conference, drawing more than 1,200 regional leaders from the business, government, and nonprofit worlds. This year, the index's special analysis focuses on the growth of tech companies and jobs in San Francisco, raising an important question about the Bay Area as a region.
Is it time for the Bay Area to start taking more regional approaches to its planning and decision making?
To help answer the question, technology forecasters Tim O'Reilly and Paul Saffo were invited to speak about how the Bay Area can successfully manage its growth as one region. O'Reilly, founder and CEO of O'Reilly Media, discussed the value of cooperation and the urgency of bringing the latest technologies to local governments.
Government is also, at bottom, a mechanism for cooperation. And when we let government be dominated by political interests, by a cartel of big vendors who are trying to profit at the expense of the taxpayer and not harnessing the latest technology, government will fall behind.
Saffo, the managing director of foresight at Discern Analytics, explained why it's time for the Bay Area to think like a city-state, such as Hong Kong, Dubai, and Singapore.
It's an entity big enough to have a global impact. Think of the impact Silicon Valley has had on the rest of the world, Google, Apple, everything. But also small enough that everybody who lives here knows how they fit in and what their role is, and we have a common sense of purpose. So we need to take that, we need to be explicit about thinking of ourselves as a city-state.
Keynote presenter, journalist James Fallows, said despite the rise of China as a global economic power, the U.S. will continue to lead the world because its own challenges are relatively modest.
Anybody in this room with 1 hour looking at federal expenditure sheets could say, okay, here's how we could put the federal budget back on a more sustainable track. It's not, we have modest problems of our public financing. Whether we'll ever fix them is a whole different matter, but at least they are modest compared to China's environmental problem or Japan's problem of having its population shrink by half.
And this year, Joint Venture Silicon Valley presented the annual David Packard Award to Lenny Mendoza of McKinsey & Company for his multifaceted contributions to the region.
There's no one who is a better connector, better leader for our region, and someone that devotes so much of his professional and personal time to making sure this is a better region, better state, and better country to live in. Truly an extraordinary individual.
To learn more about the state of the Valley and to join the conversation about regional solutions to the Bay Area's biggest challenges, go to siliconvalleyindex.org.